Hi folks, this is Chris Voss from the chrisvossshow.com, the chrisvossshow.com. Coming in here with another blog post, and one of the things I want to talk to you about is customer service. I also want to give you some tips as to what to watch for with employees in your business, something that I've probably lost a lot of money to teach you. Recently I was in 7-Eleven, I think it was yesterday actually, that I was in 7-Eleven, stood up to the counter, and the employee who was manning the counter was across the store doing some moving around of stuff in the refrigerator. Turned around, looked at me, saw me standing there, and then went back to continuing to work for another, 2 or 3 minutes, finishing whatever he was doing in the refrigerator. Well, I just stood there. Then eventually slowly gaunted over, and decided to help me with my order. The thing I want to share with you here, this is one of my pet peeves, I've talked about this before. If you have employees that are dealing frontline with customers, you need to judge them on how responsive and how quickly they service your customers, how jump-to-itiveness that they have at getting your customers served. Customer experience is a very important thing. This gentleman acted like he didn't even care of the fact that I was in the store, and certainly by his actions, he certainly communicated to them that I was just interrupting whatever he was busy doing, stocking the stores of things that they would hopefully have me purchase, whether he could care less or not. Judge your employees. That's what I want to communicate with you today. Judge your employees. Judge what you do personally, actually, on your jump-to-itiveness, on your responsiveness to your clients. How quickly do you return their phone calls? How quickly do you answer their emails? How quickly do you check their voice messages and make sure they get back to them? How often, if you're on the front line, do you have that jump-to-itiveness to go, hey, there's a customer, we better go help them? It's very important that that takes place because the customer experience is everything. Years and years ago, I spent a year working in the car business. And some of the old lazy car salesmen, they would have this cherry picker attitude, and they'd let certain customers wander the whole lot. And they'd be like, oh, that guy's a loser. You're never going to sell him. I'm not going to go out there and even meet and greet him. What's kind of interesting was, a young salesperson like I was trying to, get whatever I could done. So I'd go meet anybody. It was a numbers game to me, which sales usually is. And what was funny is I started out selling some of the old timers because I was willing to take a risk at wasting my time with a lot of people that, as far as they were concerned, just by looking at them, didn't look like they were buyers. I remember one day there was a shabby couple. They were wandering around the whole car lot. No one wanted to help them. They had this old car that looked like it was from, I guess, the 60s. They looked like they just walked in out of a homeless shelter. They were not the most, modern-looking people, I suppose. And no one wanted to help them. And so they finally came to my end of the lot, and I went out and started talking to them. Got to know them and everything about them. Turns out they'd been living for about 15 years kind of under a rock. They've been working really hard, building a little bit of credit, but they've been saving all their money. And guess who had cash to pay for a car? They did. They'd been just putting up with their 1960 piece of crap automobile, and one day after 10, 20, 30 years, I guess, they decided to come in and change cars. So the funny story here is they bought the car, they paid full price for it, so I made a full commission, and they walked away very happy. And here, no one wanted to help them. So let that be a lesson to people. I've had friends that are multimillionaires, but they dress kind of like I do, and they tend to show up at like Mercedes lots, and a lot of times they won't get help. They have to actually come back or ask the GM to help people, and they can actually pay cash for Mercedes. So a lot of times what you see isn't what you get, but in a sales situation that's important because those are commission based. But also, if you're in a retail based society, your employees or yourself needs to have some jump-to-itives to help clients. Clients like to see that you care. I like that person who jumps at me with a little extra step in his process and goes, hey, do you need anything? What's up? And I get that feeling that they care. I'll give you another example. Yesterday I was walking around Home Depot, and when I walked in, this gal walks right by me, and as she's doing it, she goes, do you need help trying to find anything? And I go, No. And I go down behind some aisles, and she's literally going up and down every aisle. I don't know what she's avoiding to do for work, but she's going up and down every single aisle, asking people in the most monotone, uncaring voice, can I help you? Are you looking for something? And she actually finally comes back down my aisle, asks me the same thing in a monotone voice. Asks me as she's walking by me, like not stopping. She's just walking. Do you need any help? You know, like, I don't really give a shit. I'm just walking around the place and avoiding whatever my boss wants to do, and I'm killing time walking around up aisles looking like I'm actually doing something. So, the other thing I want to communicate to you is, if you're running a business, there's lots of different metrics that you need to take and be looking at. You know, your profit and loss, your return on investment, your income, et cetera, et cetera. But there's other numbers you need to look at. How long are people waiting in my store to purchase something? How long are people waiting in my waiting room? How much of a great experience are they getting in being in my waiting room? I just went to my eye doctor again. They locked me in the room for like the third time now in a year, and let me look at their stupid walls with their 1970s archaic eye equipment, and let me look at the walls for 30 minutes. And I'm thinking, you know, when I'm paying these people, they can afford to put a $99 TV set in the wall, or maybe something that's a plasma set in the wall. Come to find out, one of the problems I've had with them all this time is that they gave me the wrong prescription in my right eye. They gave me the prescription in my right eye for the one in my left eye. Gang of idiots. Plus, they enjoy making me sit around. So, one of the things that I want to communicate to you that's very important, and this comes from my experience in business, when you have an employee that doesn't have the jump-to-itiveness, when they don't seem to care about your customers and your clients, there's usually a whole lot more that you're missing. It's what we used to call in my company the tip of the iceberg employee effect. You give me a customer who calls me up and goes, Chris, this employee never returns my phone calls. They take 2 to 3 days to return my phone calls. They never listen to what I'm doing. They're not taking care of my stuff, blah, 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 blah. If I find that that's accurate and true, 9 times out of 10, that employee is not doing any job right and is probably one of my worst employees. So, I'm going to share with you a tens of thousands of lost business tidbit here. When you have an employee that, number one, doesn't have jump-to-itiveness in solving their clients' problems and helping clients buy, you probably need to really evaluate them and determine whether they should stay with your company with that jump-to-itiveness or lack thereof. Number two, if you've got an employee who's not returning phone calls, who's really working hard at not taking care of your customers, you really need to be evaluating that also. And you need to also take a deeper look as to whether or not they're doing their job on the rest of the scope. Because I found that 99% of the time, if I had somebody that wasn't doing the simple stuff like returning phone calls quickly, taking care of customers quickly, they usually were sleeping on everything and doing a horrible job of it, to the point that I should fire them and get an employee who really cares. And there's lots of great employees who really care out there. So, business tip, Chris Voss. You can take and enjoy that. Take a look at what your customers are experiencing. How quickly are they able to buy? I've walked out of places. In fact, I'm going to put something up on this blog post. You'll see a picture below where somebody took the ketchup and actually was able to write into the counter in ketchup. We waited 30 minutes and no one helped us. And evidently no one noticed that they wrote this note in ketchup on the counter, which is pretty bad. If you're a business person, having customers is the most important thing you can do. As a business person, I used to sit and cry and beg for more customers, et cetera, et cetera. So to finally get some customers in the door, that's the most important thing you need to take care of. Measure your employees on jump-to-itiveness. And then one final note too, if you ever see your employees, and tell your employees that if they ever answer their phone or they're talking on their cell phone where they're trying to help someone at checkout, so Margaret, I'm talking to whatever, and is that all you want, the Coke? Oh, yeah, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, fired. So, I'm lucky enough that we didn't have large businesses during the cell phone era. So, take a look at that and manage your business in kind. Measure how quickly your customers are being served and how great of experience that they're having. And realize that a lot of people in your business now doing reporting. I sit every day in a restaurant going, okay, how do I like the service? How do I like the food? Blah, 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 blah. I'm in there and I'm reporting across 6 different iPhone apps. So it's not just one. I'm going, this customer service sucks. There's quite a few. So please take a look at what's going on with your business. By the time you wake up and pull your head out of your ass and go, I should embrace social media, you're going to have about 500 bad reviews. And it's going to be kind of pointless. Thanks for coming by the ChrisVossShow.com. Bye-bye.